Ladies and gentlemen, head coach Troy G. Ward.
Well, Troy, you've talked about it a little bit over the last couple of games. Just the how your team just seems to be cool in these close games, but they also seem to be carrying themselves with a lot of confidence during this streak. And along with that cool-headedness. I mean, what's the vibe that you're just sensing from your group just over the last little run here?
Well, the vibe. I think the vibe's changed. Almost daily. It's almost like we have another chapter to the book. Like after 2 tonight, for example, like they pushed pretty hard. We took a bunch of penalties there in a row. They scored a nice 5-on-3 goal, and we seemed to be a little bit on edge. I thought they were getting to us, and they had a good push. They're a good hockey team. You would expect that from them. So all of a sudden it's 3-1, and all of a sudden with a couple of mistakes we make, all of a sudden it's 3-3, and at some point in time. So we said after the second, we just said, here's another new chapter for our team. Like, how are we going to handle this? Like, are we too young for this league, or how are we growing up in the process here? And so how do we address this as a team? Like, I think we're going to sit back as a group of coaches and find out how you want to address this issue. I think we know how to play and how we want to handle ourselves. And then the guys came out in the third, and, you got to give them credit. I thought they did some really good things again in the third. We had some great scoring chances we didn't score on. That were real evident in the game. And obviously, I think McDonald made a few big saves as well. But, to answer your question, Dan, like it's another new chapter, and I thought we battled through it.
Corbin Knight obviously had the beautiful goal of his own, but he sets up Olsen's winner. Them 4-on-4, why did you put those two together there?
Just skating, a little bit of chemistry. Biggest thing is skating. A lot of times in 4-on-4 hockey, you like to pair your penalty killers together. You like to put them out there all the time. So, Street and Jonesy will go, even though I don't usually kill them until about the last 20 seconds. Sometimes in the past we've went with Nemo and Byron. Then, it was basically Byron and Horak, and now Horak's gone. But it's been Nighter with different guys. I've given them different flavors, and the big thing is I think they can get up and down the rink together, and they both know how to share the puck pretty well, and they've had some chemistry. So it was just kind of a gut feel.
Troy, Marcus, I mean, you talked a few games ago about Granlund, and as you know, there's kind of an adjustment period from a kid coming over from Europe. How has he sort of managed that adjustment coming over from Europe?
He's managed the adjustment well. I mean, he's gotten some help from Yanni Ordio. That's been really key. I thought the other day wanted to help him a little bit further, so I moved Horak. I moved him between Horak and Byron because I thought they could speak a little bit out of the same tongue a little bit and understand each other, and they did. They had some chemistry right away. But I think, Marcus has had some really good support from his teammates. I thought Roman was really good for him. I think Yanni's actually super for him. Yanni does a good job. And in fairness to Marcus, I think, his brother's been over here and been playing in the Minnesota system, and I think he understands where he's at. He understands a little bit about the game, but you still have to go through the language barrier and things like that because Marcus is quiet by nature. But you got to give Marcus some credit, too. So he's handled this really well. The one thing, when I was in Pitt a long time ago, we had 15 Europeans. The one thing I understood then that I don't think really has changed is when you give them the ice time they deserve, European guys, whether they can communicate or whether they can't, they kind of just seem to take over and they communicate through their play. And I think that's what we've witnessed here of late. When I've moved Marcus up to a higher line and put him in a different role, I think he's kind of had, really a good week here. He's really kind of embraced the fact that I'm getting all this ice time, and it's helped him, and it helps him fit in because the way he's speaking right now is through his play.
Chad Billins, a very good weekend for you coming back from Calgary, and you've spoken in the past about how difficult that transition back to the AHL can be. Can you talk a little bit about Chad and just his transition to the organization in general, and then maybe just his play here this weekend?
Yeah, I think Chad, we obviously felt good to have him back. At the same time, for him personally, we didn't want him to be here. He wants to be up there. But at the same time, the one thing he's brought to us, Dan, is he's brought really good experience. They won a Calder Cup last year. For a young man and a second-year pro, he's got some poise to his game and a little bit of understanding what it takes and when it takes it to be effective. So I think he's brought that. I didn't really expect him to play quite as good as he did, I thought, this weekend. We gave him a lot of minutes. There were some guys in the back end we didn't play at times. They sat around, and we played a very short back end at different times this weekend, the last 2 days. So I thought Chad responded with the minutes he was given, and I thought he played a really good job, did a nice job for us, and I thought he complemented Ramich real well. It's really important when you develop young players like Ramich or Wotherspoon that you have a guy that complements them well relative to pressure and relative to being calm and relaxed. I think Lammer's done that for Wather, and I think Ramich has certainly had the benefit of playing with Chad.
One more player with a good weekend was obviously Michael Furlan. Do you want to just talk a little about him and his 4 points in 2 games?
Michael just had a really good weekend. I think we discussed a little bit yesterday. I just felt that Michael found his rhythm, found his legs. I think it really helped, again, same thing a little bit. I give Jonesy and Street a lot of accolades to Michael's play. Michael just had to fit in and let his skills do the work. He didn't have to be the go-to guy or being out there with a couple of younger guys and trying to find his way. He could just kind of follow the lead of the 2 big guys, and I thought he did that. He proved this weekend that his skill is of this level and probably higher in some ways. But I felt it was a little easier transition this weekend for him because he was the follower. He didn't have to lead or get a push or have to play real heavy minutes for us. So he played more of a skilled role, and I thought he handled that very well.
Troy, I noticed Orsini didn't come back on the ice. Was he injured at some point?
No, just Dean was fine. We'll manage Dean's ice time on back-to-back weekends. But him and Mark didn't. They struggled at times this weekend, so they didn't get as much ice time as maybe they'd like to. But this is a team. I just told the team we had some guys that didn't play the minutes they wanted, but that's part of this process. There's the next weekend and somebody else won't get it. That's just the way it goes. But Dean played fine. We just managed his minutes.
Last question.
Troy, you have had a lot of movement through your goaltending pair over the beginning of the season. How are you feeling about your current pair and their play so far?
Well, this pair here has been good. I think it's been good because I think Yanni's taken the pressure off of McDonald. A lot of times when you're an NHL goalie, quote-unquote, coming down from the NHL, having a real good start up there. At one point he was, I think, 3-0-1 or something. And then coming down here and feeling like you got to carry the load when you come down here. He's been able to come down here and basically be a compliment to Yanni. Yanni's been carrying the load down here. And then I think it's a little bit easier for Joey to come down here and just be Joey and not feel all the pressure to say, I've got to do all this by myself and they're counting on me just like they were in Calgary. I think that's the biggest thing that's happened that's made this pair really good so far. They had a good week together. Give Joey a lot of credit as a man. He has played in the minors. He's been in Toronto. He's been in Grand Rapids. He's been in some places, and I think he understands the process. But I think he's handled it really well, and he's complimented, I thought, Yanni, and Yanni's kind of made a stance for himself to say, I'm the guy here right now, and I'm playing really good hockey. But I think that has helped Joey come down and just be Joey.
Anyone else?